From childhood trauma to gruesome murders, Ed Gein's story begins with a mother's suffocating grip, a father's absence, and a boy who never stood a chance. In a house where love was never given, only fear, Ed's twisted path was set long before the world knew his name. The terror that followed wasn't born overnight. It was nurtured in the quiet corners of Plainfield, where the only voice he could hear was the one in his head. If you're intrigued by the chilling details of Ed Gein's early life and how trauma shaped his horrific path, subscribe now and stay with us till the end. This story will unravel the dark forces that turned a lonely farm boy into one of the most infamous killers in history. Stick around, because what you'll discover at the end will not only answer the question of how, but also explore the psychological depths that few dare to understand. You won't want to miss it. Ed's father, George, was a broken man, consumed by alcohol and poverty. As a farmer, he could barely provide for the family, often retreating into drunken stupors. Augusta, Ed's mother, ruled the home with an iron fist. A devout Christian, she preached that the world was full of sin, and only she could protect Ed from its evils. She kept him isolated, away from other children, making him her sole focus. Ed became both the object of her love and the victim of her domination, trapped in a world where fear and control were the only constants. This suffocating bond would shape him into the man he would eventually become. While other children played and attended school, Ed's life was confined to the farmhouse. Augusta forbade him from socializing with kids in town, calling them sinners and warning that their world would lead him astray. His days were spent alone, working the farm, with only the silence of the vast fields for company. The hours of isolation deepened his bond with his mother, a bond that grew stronger and more twisted with time. Ed's world, shaped by Augusta's control, became a place where fear and dependence replaced normal childhood experiences. This bond set the stage for his dark future. Augusta's control over Ed was suffocating, creating a deep psychological dependency. She preached that men were evil and women were either pure or sinful, instilling in Ed a twisted view of gender and sexuality. Her extreme beliefs left Ed with no room for a healthy understanding of relationships or his own identity. Isolated and reliant on his mother, Ed internalized these warped ideas, shaping his future behaviors and desires. Augusta's influence left an indelible mark on his psyche, turning what should have been normal childhood development into a foundation for disturbed obsessions. These early lessons would fuel Ed's horrific actions in adulthood. When George passed away in 1940, Ed was left alone with his mother, Augusta. The house grew quieter, and Augusta clung to Ed even more tightly, treating him as her only lifeline. At this point, Ed, now in his 20s, became even more isolated. The walls of their home felt like a prison, and he found himself trapped in a world where Augusta's control was absolute. Her influence peaked, and Ed retreated further from the outside world, withdrawing deeper into his mother's suffocating grip. His reality narrowed to the confines of their home, setting the stage for what was to come. As Augusta's voice echoed in Ed's ears, his mind drifted to darker places. The death of his father and his mother's unrelenting grip over him left him obsessed with death itself. He began to visit local cemeteries, fixated on the idea of preserving the women he had lost, the women he couldn't understand, feared, and longed to control. This obsession grew as Ed sought a way to hold on to them, to keep them close, just as his mother had kept him. His disturbing fixation on death marked the beginning of a twisted journey that would lead to horrors no one could have imagined. The isolation Ed felt in the empty farmhouse, combined with his mother's teachings, turned his mind inward, where dark thoughts began to take root. Unable to escape his longing for a mother figure who could provide both comfort and control, Ed's mind grew twisted. He began by mutilating animals, a disturbing outlet for his repressed desires. But this was just the start. His obsession with preserving and possessing women, who both terrified and fascinated him, intensified. Driven by a need to control and keep them close, Ed moved on to more disturbing actions. What started as a dark curiosity would soon spiral into a nightmare, setting the stage for a horror that would shock the world. As Ed's isolation deepened and his twisted obsessions grew, the horrors he once only dreamed about were about to become reality. His need for control, shaped by years of fear and domination, would soon lead to acts no one could imagine. Ed Gein's descent into madness was only beginning, and the world would never be the same. Subscribe, like, and comment if you're shocked by Ed's disturbing journey. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where the true terror begins.